Some of the most exhausting days are the ones when you barely move at all. By evening, even standing up to get a glass of water can feel strangely difficult, and that raises a confusing question. Where did all your energy go? If your body seemed to do almost nothing, the answer may be hidden in the invisible work your mind performed throughout the day. It replayed the past, it rehearsed tomorrow, it tracked unfinished tasks, and searched for possible threats. You were carrying worries, expectations, memories, and pressure that no one else could see. Sometimes not even you. And because that weight was invisible, you may have decided that you were simply lazy. Once that judgment appeared, rest stopped feeling deserved. It started feeling like another failure. But physical movement is only one of the many things that can consume energy. Worry, emotional control, constant monitoring, and repeated decision-making also demand real mental effort. And sometimes that effort begins the exact moment your eyes open in the morning. Before your feet even touch the floor, one unfinished email is already asking for your attention. A small task quickly expands into imagined mistakes, awkward conversations, deadlines, and possible consequences. You have not started yet, but you already picture disappointment, criticism, rejection, or failure. A vividly imagined situation can still create a genuine stress response in the present moment. Your shoulders rise, your breathing becomes shallow, your hands tighten, often without you noticing. The room remains quiet, but your internal alarm system has already become alert. Energy begins disappearing before the first real task of the day has even started. So, to escape that discomfort, you reach for your phone almost automatically. New videos, messages, and posts quickly pull your attention away from the original worry. And for a few minutes, the noise inside your head becomes softer, easier to ignore. But distraction does not remove the problem that was waiting underneath the screen. Your brain keeps absorbing images, opinions, news, comparisons, and emotional reactions from strangers. So scrolling may look like rest, while still delivering a nonstop stream of stimulation. An hour passes, then another. Yet your mind does not feel clearer, calmer, or restored. And the moment the screen goes dark, the postponed thoughts quietly return to the surface. This is where repetitive thinking can begin draining you without producing any real solution. You remember a conversation from several days ago and decide to examine it again. Every pause, glance, delayed reply, and change in tone suddenly begins to look important. Maybe too important. By midday, nothing has been solved, but a large part of your focus is already gone. You replay the scene because one more review feels like it might finally reveal certainty, but instead every replay produces another detail that now seems suspicious or meaningful. Without new information, your mind starts filling the empty spaces with guesses and assumptions, and negative explanations often hold attention more strongly than ordinary, harmless, or neutral possibilities. You imagine the other person becoming distant, disappointed, irritated, or quietly tired of you. The scene is imaginary, but the sadness, shame, and tension you feel are completely real. One uncertain event becomes several painful futures, all emotionally experienced before anything has even happened. Sometimes this is the mind's attempt to avoid being surprised, rejected, embarrassed, or unprepared. It thinks, if I imagine every possible outcome, maybe nothing can catch me off guard. But preparing for every possibility keeps you waiting, watching, checking, and unable to relax. You become exhausted from guarding against something that may never actually happen. Then there are the unfinished tasks. They create another kind of invisible pressure by remaining active in your attention. Each task stays mentally open even when you are trying to rest or do something else. Your body stays on the couch, but your attention repeatedly leaves and returns to work. A cup, an email, laundry, dinner, one unanswered message. Separately, they seem small. Together, they begin to feel enormous. You see several possible starting points and cannot decide which one deserves your energy first. So you move between options for several minutes and end up beginning none of them. Avoidance briefly lowers the pressure because the tasks disappear from your immediate view, but only briefly. When they return later, they often feel larger, because more time has passed. Overwhelm leads to avoidance, avoidance creates guilt, and guilt makes starting even harder.
Even without taking action, repeatedly remembering unfinished tasks continues using mental energy. And when your mind is already tired, even choosing what to eat can feel complicated. You consider effort, time, cleanup, cost, health, and whether another option might be better. The decision grows heavier simply because your available mental resources are already running low. And after choosing, you may still wonder whether you made the wrong decision. The choice is technically finished, but your mind refuses to let the subject close. Many small decisions can gradually reduce your ability to focus, compare options, and choose. So when important work finally appears, you may have almost nothing left to offer. Then, the phone lights up. It feels easier because it asks less effort from you in the immediate moment. Later, the unfinished work begins to look like proof that something is wrong with you. And now, you are not only tired from thinking, you are tired from avoiding, from comparing, from feeling guilty, and from fighting your own tiredness. Part of you wants the bed. Another part keeps demanding the desk. Your body asks to stop, but responsibility, fear, and guilt keep pulling you back. Even while lying down, your muscles remain tight and your eyes refuse to settle. Rest becomes another place where you accuse yourself of not doing enough. Every passing minute feels like more time you will have to repay later. And outside, other people seem to be moving, working, exercising, improving, and progressing without difficulty. At least, that is what you can see. Their visible activity makes your private exhaustion look like a personal failure. So you try to force movement by speaking to yourself more harshly. You should be doing more. Why are you like this? Just get up. Harshness may produce a few actions, but it cannot restore energy that has already been depleted. You end up accomplishing very little while feeling even worse about yourself than before. Another hidden cost appears when you try to look completely fine around other people. You smile, you nod, you laugh, you speak normally. While your body remains tense underneath, you edit your words before they leave your mouth and hide what actually hurts. Part of your attention keeps checking whether anyone has noticed the real feeling. Did they see the hesitation? Did your voice sound strange? Are they becoming uncomfortable? Maintaining that appearance can be exhausting, even during a calm and ordinary conversation. Then the door closes, your shoulders drop, and the fatigue finally becomes visible. You wonder why such a normal interaction required so much time to recover from. But the effort was not only in the conversation itself. It came from monitoring the other person while controlling how you appeared. Many tiny adjustments accumulated until your social and emotional energy was nearly empty. Alone again, your body finally stops performing and allows the exhaustion to show. At night, you decide to sleep early, hoping rest will reset everything. But once the room becomes quiet, the thoughts you postponed during the day become easier to hear. The email returns. The message returns. The conversation returns. The unfinished task returns. One by one, you tell yourself, stop thinking. But that command only makes each thought feel louder and more noticeable. Your body is in bed, yet your internal watchfulness has not ended. Then the phone vibrates, just once, and within seconds, your entire system is alert again. You reach for the phone because silence now feels harder than constant stimulation. New content keeps your mind occupied, while the remaining hours of sleep become shorter. Sleep is delayed, but the tension from the day still has nowhere to go. Then morning arrives, with even less energy, making the same cycle easier to repeat. After enough days, you may stop saying that you are temporarily tired. Instead, you begin saying, "This is simply who I am. I am lazy," but that label hides everything underneath it. The sleep loss, the worry, the overload, the uncertainty, the emotional effort. A simple action can become difficult when several invisible demands arrive with it. Opening one laptop may also mean facing every unfinished responsibility, fear, and expectation at once. And this is where the turning point begins. Not when you force yourself harder, but when you stop judging your exhaustion and start observing it. Instead of asking, "Why am I so weak?" ask, "What is keeping my mind active?" Name the conversation, the unfinished task, the poor sleep. What felt like one mysterious personal failure begins to separate into several understandable sources of pressure. And understandable pressures can often be approached one small piece at a time. Start with one clear task that is small enough to finish with today's energy. Not your ideal energy, not yesterday's energy, today's energy. Completing it gives your attention one less open loop to revisit throughout the day. The goal is not instant productivity. The goal is fewer things being held at the same time. Write down what can wait, so your mind does not need to keep rehearsing it. A simple note may reduce the fear that forgetting is always 1 second away. Create a short period without new information constantly arriving from your phone. At first, quiet may feel uncomfortable. Old thoughts may become more visible. But when one appears, try noticing it without immediately solving it, fighting it, judging it, or escaping it. A thought can be acknowledged without being treated as evidence. It does not automatically become truth, and it does not have to become an instruction. When the struggle decreases, your shoulders, hands, breathing, and attention can begin to soften. Because real rest is more than lying still while your mind continues working at full speed. It also includes enough safety to stop monitoring, to stop proving, to stop preparing, and to stop defending yourself. Sometimes recovery begins by making today's task smaller than yesterday's expectation. Energy usually returns through repeated moments of care, not one dramatic reset. One exhausted day does not define your ability, your worth, your discipline, or your future. You can admit that you are depleted without turning that condition into a verdict. And persistent fatigue can also involve sleep, physical health, medication, stress, or other psychological factors. So when exhaustion continues or significantly affects daily life, it may deserve more attention and support. Because the person who appeared to do nothing may have been mentally working all day, and the answer is not always more effort. Sometimes it is less pressure, less stimulation, less self-judgment, and less mental weight. Real rest begins when, for one moment, nothing needs to be solved, nothing needs to be proven, nothing needs to be controlled, and nothing needs to be feared.